Hello and welcome to Hardcast, where we will get to see a fun little crossover that I'm sure we weren't expecting. I'm Humphrey Erm.
And I'm Christian Claus.
Lifeline, give me Imperium Volume 2, Broken Angels.
Issue 5. Kozol is paranoid that Harada is out to get him. So much so that he's gone underwater with psiot dampeners constantly on and constantly wearing a helmet so that no one can get in. He gets more and more paranoid, starts finding signs of something, and starts to lose it. In his panic, he decides to hit everyone on board their submarine with a neuroblast to temporarily stop any psiot illusion. That's when we see a huge monster coming for Kozol. Then we go back in time shortly to see how Harada infiltrated the submarine.
Kozol did nothing wrong.
Yeah, well. And such an original name, Leviathan, for a huge underwater submarine.
Well, we don't want to look into other mythologies or cultures. Let's stick to the Judeo-Christian stuff.
And a lot of Nordic stuff where at least Viking, Norse gods get some attention sometimes.
Yeah, true. I'm sure there's some kind of called the Kraken and stuff like that.
And then, of course, all the other gods from the Roman stuff. So anyway, about this comic.
Yeah, no, I'm really liking it. It's just, this is what's kind of like a bit of a heist story.
You mean this volume or this issue?
Well, the first two issues, I'd say. I mean, in general, the whole thing revolved around the heist, but as we'll discuss later, it then becomes into a little something else.
Mm.
But I mean, we got the impenetrable fortress here. And there's no way they could get in here. And, then they do. And, then they do want specific things as well. And I don't know, this was a nice, exciting issue.
Yeah, I guess this issue was still all right. It was just interesting kind of seeing him kind of lose his mind.
Well, that's later. Or you mean Kozol?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was kind of interesting just to see him kind of, just become paranoid about everything. And I don't know. I mean, it is kind of nice to see the same thing when the guy who's the paranoid one is actually right. I do kind of like those a little bit. Just, I don't know. It's just fun to see that kind of stuff where it's finally, he's like, no, I was right. But otherwise, I mean, it was also kind of nice to see when Harada did come in to see like the same scenes again, but with the knowledge that Harada's like there. I mean, I don't think it necessarily brings anything more to the story in the sense of you can't like look back. It's not like with Fight Club where you rewatch the entire thing and then you kind of like, oh God, that's what that was. Oh yeah, that makes so much sense now. I mean, the whole thing where Gravedog was talking to Harada instead of actually Kozol. I mean, that's not like mind blowing or anything. That was just like, oh, okay, he's not talking. Okay. But yeah, otherwise, this issue was good in that sense. It was kind of exciting, but then I feel like the next issues kind of dropped the ball.
Well, we'll get to that when we get to that.
Yeah.
But I like this one because it feels very condensed, so to speak. Like it feels like, sure, it's kind of, I guess in broad strokes, not so many things happen. But looking back at it, I thought at first when I tried to remember the first time I read it, I thought this was split up into two issues, this first issue.
Well, it kind of felt like it because the actual title didn't come until halfway through the comic.
Exactly. But the
thing
is, when that
title came, I was just like, oh, okay, that's the first issue. Okay, that's good. But I was like, oh, wait, it's going on right away. It's so, okay. It's like one of those, remember when we would watch like Flash or Arrow together or something like that? And then like we'd all be settled in for the story and then suddenly the title screen came in and we were like, oh God, that took forever.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it'll take like 10 minutes or so. So, but yeah, no, it's but like you said, I also like the idea with Kosal actually being right.
Mm.
There's just something. It's not just the fact he's paranoid, because he's rightfully so. I mean, he's kind of the only guy who takes the idea that there's a guy who can read minds and control you, like seriously.
Yeah.
And what do you say? But it also helps then, well, not helps, but for me, just gives an extra layer on top the fact that he's a douchebag.
Mm.
So he's right, but no one's really happy about it somehow. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's just, I love Kosal. I think I love every douchebag in Valiant.
I think you just love the douchebags.
Oh God, is this like how women feel like with bad boys?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm sorry, that was mean. No, but I don't know. I guess, as I've said before with Valiant, I just like the fact we have these very morally, I guess I wouldn't call them ambiguous, they're pretty straight on with their values.
Yeah.
But just, characters who aren't downright heroes, or even here where, like I mentioned that I think in the first Imperium, we now have like a villain-led book. But usually when they do that in Marvel and DC, like anytime they've done like a Doctor Doom book, it's usually him facing off against an even greater evil, which makes Doom, good by default.
Right.
Or by comparison. But here it's like, nope, Harada's just going to steal some stuff for his own ends here, so he can continue with his plan.
Yep. Yeah, I like that though.
Yeah, no, same. I mean, it's just a different like setup now. So whether you like him or not, it doesn't matter. He is the protagonist, and I'm not sure if everyone will be rooting for him, but we are excited to see like how he's going to manage all this. I also like the little things, like those two guards constantly talking recipes.
Oh yeah.
It's super simple, and I think I've seen similar things before. It seems like cooking seems to be like the go-to for these things. But just really nice, just reading this and going like, let's see, who was it now? Here we go, yeah. Hot mayonnaise sauce? Disgusting. It's amazing. Put capers and toasted chopped almonds in it. Hit it with a low flame. Just great. And I also love, this is also one of those things that's so easy to do if you were to make it live action. But I just love the psychic power of making people ignore you. Because it's like kind of like, remember, you saw Stranger Things 2, right?
Yep.
Spoilers, people, but it's on Netflix and has been out for a while. It's like that scene when the police, raid that warehouse where Eleven's meeting with the other guys.
Oh yeah, I think I fell asleep at that point.
Oh. Do you mind, or?
Well, I've already finished it.
Oh, so you fell asleep?
Yeah, I fell asleep. Maybe we watch it in the evenings and then I just fall asleep on the couch, so...
well.
I usually don't see the end of the episodes.
Okay, but it's just really nice because it's so simple to do. They just go like, okay, stand still, guys. And it's so interesting to see them, and then seeing all these police officers with guns out, really like scouting the area and not noticing them. It's like pure acting.
Yeah.
And it's just so satisfying to look at. Yeah, no, it's just a cool little issue, like a good start to the whole thing.
Yeah, but I gotta say, I mean, this is like one of those things where, I mean, you kind of notice it because we're not really talking as much about this like we did, like, for example, last episode. Just because it's just such a typical kind of thing. There's nothing special about it in that sense. So I don't think so. Should
this have happened? Should we have had 3 issues? One focusing on Harada, one on Kosal, and one on, I don't know, Mech Warrior? And then 4th issue, we find out what happened.
Well, no. I mean, I'm just saying that, I'm saying that what happened in this comic was not exciting enough. So why would we pull it out into 4 issues?
Well, that's probably the reason for the last 2 issues.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just... I mean, I don't even want to start about the last 2 issues. I'm not looking forward to talking about those.
Ooh, okay.
Because I'm going to get a little bit annoyed. But yeah, this is just one of those things where there's so little to talk about because it's just like, yeah, it's just a story. There's nothing, for me at least, I don't feel like there's anything really interesting happened. it was just like, oh, we need to explain that Harada can have clean energy or something like that. So what are we going to do? Oh, okay, well, he needs to extract these two people and then this brain. Like, okay, well then let's just write a quick story about how he infiltrates the submarine or whatever, and then that's it.
Rather than having the story itself have like some kind of,
I mean,
I'm not going to say
just,
like value, but
yeah, but it's just like how it feels. I mean, maybe this was like, maybe that's not how they came up with this story. Maybe this was always part of the plan or whatever. But it just feels like that to me because I feel like there's nothing inherently interesting happened here. I mean, yeah, there are interesting parts, but it's not, how should you say, it's just hard to explain.
no, but as a whole piece, as a full story, it doesn't quite feel like it. Not that it didn't have a point, but it didn't really feel like it had like an identity of its own or something.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, volume 2, that was the one. Yeah, oh yeah, that's like that had like such a good like concept in it. Or
Right. And I mean, that's kind of like the thing where I like to compare this to, what if we weren't doing the podcast? And what if I was reading these like issue by issue? I mean, I don't think I would necessarily have picked up the next one. I mean, obviously, from what I said last time we read Imperium, I probably wouldn't have gotten even this far. But yeah, nonetheless, it was just like, okay, yeah, this is a story, whatever, wasted money in that sense.
So yeah, no, I can understand that. I mean, I enjoyed it. This was one of my again, Imperium is one of my favorite series of. Like, apparently, this is supposed to be like the phase 2 of like Valiant. I think I've actually heard that term used.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not in the usual sense as like with the MCU in terms of like which having like every phase end with an Avengers movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more about, okay, the sort of status quos from before are gone in terms of like the series ending and such. Like, I actually think the Valiant might be that Avengers movie, so to speak, in terms of like changing the status quo a bit. Not specifically, yes, all the events there, but yes, chronologically. So like now, now we're not following, the Renegades or anything. We're following their villain.
Right.
Bloodshot has been reborn. Archer and Armstrong, it doesn't have a series anymore. We're following Ivar.
Mm-hmm.
And Ninjak now gets to appear. I don't know, just like I thought kind of was interesting. But I guess that's it for issue 1. Or I mean issue 5. Issue 6. Since it turns out Kozol was actually right, the crew of the Leviathan is on high alert, with Harada's team split up accomplishing different goals. Harada recruits Broken Angel, since she finds his goals to be a challenge, along with grabbing the brain allowing cold fusion, while also seeing an odd gentleman in a spacesuit appear and reappear. PRS finally set up the Psiot dampeners, removing Harada's powers, making him rely on everyone else, but Mech Major manages to deactivate them, making Harada destroy the whole submarine. So, I love the challenge of taking everything down to the bare essentials. This had the most douchebaggy moment, though, of Kozol. Well, he gets saved by the hardcore troops. So, and then he locks the door.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, sir, you're cutting off our retreat option. Don't put our backs against the wall. And he gets that panel there. Just staring at them. I don't know, just he's an interesting character. Like, honestly, this is the kind of character that would be the kind of thing. I'm kind of into comparing to movies now a lot today. But you know how all the ways you kind of have like this comedy relief in like a lot of superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
So at least, like in the Marvel ones.
Yeah.
And Kozol is definitely that kind of guy where you can have like a very serious situation, but because of his like character and like his personality, even like awful things like that will have a comedic bent, taking away a bit of the, like the awfulness of what happened.
Yeah, true.
So, but yeah, no, I like this one as well. I mean, again, I like the whole volume, but what do you think of like if we go to specifics here? Broken Angel, accepting Harada's offer. Does that like make sense, or does it feel a little bit too simplistic?
Honestly, I just couldn't keep up with a lot of this stuff. Like this is the part where it got a little bit not complicated, but it's just like I don't know if it's just because I don't care about these characters in that sense, but I just don't care about their motivations. Like the fact that she said yes to them. I always thought that. I mean, I feel like Broken Angel is just such a blank character anyway, because she's been taken over by that alien thing. That I just feel like, if she accepts his offer, it's just like, you know what, to hell with it. Okay, yeah, why not? It's not like what? She would never do that.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that. It's just more like because me personally, as much as I like her, it just, I don't know, it reminds me kind of how do you describe it? It's kind of like when the Joker's badly written. Like, why did you do all this? Like, it was funny. Like, okay,
yeah,
that's
but the
simple.
thing is with Joker, he has an established character.
True.
And like people, I mean, he has such a background that people kind of like their Joker in a certain way. But this is just, I mean, she's only appeared in one volume before this. And we don't know much about her, and especially because we got to know her character a little bit, and then this alien took her over and is just interested in doing whatever she feels like. That's what I mean, is like the fact that she's like, oh, it entertains me more that you are striving for something impossible. It's like, yeah, fine, whatever. It's the same way she's like constantly talking about getting impregnated.
Honestly, like, I mean, there's horrific implications considering it's not, the mind of the body. But I like the whole disregard to human life that this creature has. Like, it's pure science.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like above humanity and just sees us as like, I mean, it's well aware enough that we're sentient, but still treats us like, just like dissecting a frog or something. Even I even love that panel.
I love how you literally described dissecting something sentient. Like you were talking about, like, well, she understands that we're sentient, but it's like dissecting a frog, which is what we do to a sentient life form, which is a frog.
Oh yeah, I guess not sentient. What's the word?
I just love it.
The smart person thing. I don't know. I do love that panel though of after she said, like, do you consider impregnating the Angela vessel? So is that a negotiating point? Not yet. I don't know. Just love the composition of that panel. Just the uterus and all that.
The uterus.
So, well, I thought that was a more fancy term to use since that's specifically what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, none of this seems like crazy or anything like that. I mean, again, we know so little about that character. We're just like, oh yeah, okay, then she does this too. And she's part of that team.
Yeah, but again, I'm liking his team. It's becoming a lot more, just a very odd bunch of characters now. And I think it's a good idea because I feel prior to this, he just had a bunch of yes men pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
In uniforms and all that, and it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure. Some characters got a bit more exposure, like Ingrid and that one little boy who can like cause people to sense their fear. But in general, they're just like barely supporting characters to Harada. But now he's like, it's kind of, this will be an odd comparison. But it's kind of like between Final Fantasy 8 and 9.
Jesus,
in terms
why
of
are you referencing things that I have no idea about?
I'm sorry, but it's just for the people who do know. Because in Final Fantasy 8, the party was just pretty much the same. Like, it was just teenagers. So yes, well, not everyone was brooding, but just, okay, just teenagers, almost the same height, everyone. It was just the clothes and like the personalities and stuff that were different.
And the hair.
So yes.
I'm assuming, because it's an anime thing.
Yeah, of course. But still, no, but I mean, they're different enough. It's just like, but there's not that radical difference. But then you have something like Final Fantasy 9 where, when you had him in the lineup, there's such a huge change in like height, width, like proportions. Just so much more. You're looking there like, oh, now this is a team I want to have. And I feel Harada's team now is Final Fantasy IX. Because he's got a giant robot, an alien that was like designed to kill him, but is now under his control. So he's got this woman who's been taken over by an alien life force, a traitor from his what's called enemy side. It just, I don't know, just a cool team setup. He's made a good party.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I don't know. It's
But yeah, it does look pretty badass when they're walking away from the reactor that he's destroying.
Nice
little superhero walk, lineup, whatever you call it.
Exactly. So, but yeah, no, I don't know. It's just cool, I feel. I'm liking this volume a lot because it's just cool things happening.
Yeah, this is still okay because it's, as you said, cool things happening and it's very clear. Timeline is set. I understand what's going on.
So, yeah, no, but don't think really there's much because, the first issue had more like, setup and stuff.
Yeah, and this is just fighting.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the whole thing with whenever he loses his psychic powers, he reverts to his like old form.
Yeah, I like that too, yeah.
It's just nice because it kind of shows how I'm not sure if I'd say it's a confidence problem. I mean, I'm sure
it's a power problem.
Yeah, no, but in terms of why he wants to, what's it called, like he wants to show himself when he was in his prime. Like he's very about outward appearances.
Well, yeah, because that's what people then see. I mean, if they see an old man, they won't respect him immediately. But if he sees, because I mean, as you said, I mean, when we were talking about, I think it was last Imperium issue, wasn't that the whole thing where you washed that person's feet?
Yes. Oh God. So damn. It's the douchiest humbleness ever.
But it's all about outward appearance. That's the thing. He wants to be the savior of the world, and he doesn't want to be the hidden savior of the world. He wants everyone to know. I mean, that's why he literally declared war, and he made a big spectacle out of it. You know what I mean? Like so people, he wants people to see him. So I mean, obviously he wants people to see him in his prime and not when he's 76 or whatever he said his age was.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, with that, because I've heard a lot of people, at least in terms of a Harbinger, as an X-Men parallel. And then like Harada being like an evil version of what's called Professor Xavier. But honestly, with the way you were describing him there, I honestly see him much more of a Lex Luthor.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
So again, it depends on the stories with him because, obviously there's just, decades of versions of him. But I like the idea of he wants to sort of do good, but like as a contrast to Superman. Like he wants to do good, but so he gets to be like the cool guy.
Yeah, he wants to do good, but he wants to be seen doing it.
Exactly. And obviously Superman gets seen doing this stuff, but that's just because it's a spectacle anytime he does it.
Yeah.
While what Luthor does, unless he makes a show out of it. It's some stuff that happens in the background. And same thing here, though we can tell that Harada does want to do good. It just very selfishly, so to speak.
I mean, that's always the question, though, is like, does he want to do good because he wants to, do good? Or is he doing this because he wants to be seen as some sort of benevolent god? I mean, is it his ego speaking here? It's like, you must do good to and become like the perfect human, someone that people look up to. Because I mean, he is obviously evil. I mean, the stuff that he does is evil. And that's what I mean. I feel like if you want to subscribe to the idea that there are good people and bad people in the world, then I would say definitely he is a bad person.
Oh, yeah.
However, his ego he's such an egotistical person that he then wants to he wants to be seen as this amazing, perfect, almighty God. And if he just wanted to be famous, he could be a supervillain. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But he doesn't want to be famous. He wants to be seen as a god. He wants to be seen as this person who saves people. So he puts on a show. He makes himself look young and in his prime, beautiful, muscular and all that kind of stuff. And then he floats around and he does these things and people worship him. And that's what he wants. It's his ego speaking. So that's why I feel like this whole thing happens like that. So in some sense, he's more evil than even the more normal evil person.
Yeah, exactly. But even so, I mean, again, so far we've only seen like projections of his like utopia.
Mm.
So, but it looks, very interesting seeing that in terms of if he actually could manage it. And again, I mean, again, it just gets so like out there that it's hard to like measure it, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so how many lives are okay to like kill to get to this point? Because you can compare that to like any kind of like historical events that have led to, the way the world is today. And I don't know, but that's what also makes him so fascinating and makes him my favorite character. Just so, and again, I'm not sure if I'd say complex, but just multifaceted, maybe. Just so,
yeah, that's complex. Yeah, he's a complex character.
He's just so interesting.
Mm.
But I guess that's about it then. We kind of extended this issue by talking about Harada in general.
Yeah.
So on to the next one.
Well, let's get on to the shit show. So Divinity is back. He's brought everyone into paradise, and Harada doesn't like it. He suddenly wakes up in his utopia, but again recognizes that this isn't real. He literally breaks out of the reality and confronts Divinity. But he just ends up in a different paradise. Again, Harada doesn't believe it. This time he tries to figure out how to defeat him. Or wait, I guess this is real now. Looks like Divinity is leading Harada to his prison to free him. But while he's freeing him, he's now in a briefing. So the last one wasn't real, or I don't know. This is where I got really confused. And then after some quote-unquote explanation, he's back in the Indian Ocean where he can now beat Divinity. Now he proclaims that he can beat Divinity because he figured everything out.
Yeah, that's about it.
It was so horrible. I hate these kind of things. I mean, this is the point where I started wishing that we had soon and before. And
yeah, you weren't even giving that luxury this time.
Yeah, no, I mean, not really. I mean, obviously the idea was to confuse the reader in this moment because you're supposed to feel the same confusion as
that
as Harada. Yeah. But again, this is one of the problems that I had again. It's just that this was, again, it wasn't mystery, it was confusion. And again, I said that confusion is what we were supposed to feel, but when you're reading it, you don't want confusion ever. You want mystery disguised as confusion. Because I was focusing more on trying to figure out where we were than following the story.
Right.
And at some point, I just checked out and I was just reading words and then just going through the comic. You know what I mean? Because it was like, it's like when you're in math class or something like that, and it's just getting too complicated and you can't follow anymore. So your brain just kind of clicks off. And that happened here as well, because it was just going back and forth. There was way too much stuff going on. And I was just like, screw this. I can't. Yeah, I was reading words. I was understanding what they were saying to each other, but just in the grand scheme of everything, I just I just did not know what was going on. I was just like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll get an explanation at the end. I never really did, but yeah. So yeah, this wasn't that great.
Yeah, it's not
Especially,
this.
no, sorry. I'm just going to add one more thing.
Yeah.
Especially because Harada was talking about the whole thing the entire time. Yeah, he was monologuing the entire time. I feel like there could have been some more elements or stuff that kind of made us understand what was reality and what not, even if he was confused. Because then at least I wouldn't feel bad. I mean, like I was like, oh, okay, so here we are, we're going after divinity now. He's leading him to the place, but then it ends up that no, it wasn't. He wasn't actually leading him, but Harada actually beat him already before or not, and it was just, so stupid.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is the strongest half of the volume.
Definitely,
but
not.
I just like the idea of I don't know. I just like the idea of Harada kind of what was called being at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I like that too. I mean, again, I feel like the idea for this volume is good, or this issue is good, but I think it just wasn't done right, or maybe I'm just too stupid to follow it.
No, I don't think it's that. But like you said, it's inherently confusing. And for me, the one thing that I'm still not getting about divinity is the nature of his powers.
Yeah, is because he was talking about like, is it reality or not, or is it just an illusion?
Exactly, because no, but like if we just want to put it down to like like actual like terms, I guess you could say.
Mm.
Like, is it a psychic projection? Like, are people just imagining what they're seeing?
Yeah.
Is he like, can he create things that are real as long as he wills it to be, but only within like a bubble? Like, is it time? Like, is it sort of like time control? He can make things turn into the thing. Like he cuts out the time that it took to make.
Yeah.
It's never, and again, I get that it's supposed to be mysterious. Like he's just kind of like, he can do whatever. But I'm not quite sure what that whatever he's doing is.
Right. And especially for something like this, where you have someone like Harada who is so powerful, and especially because he can read people's minds and stuff like that, that's where it gets tricky. Because then you have someone who could technically explain it. And then that's the question, like, is divinity, I mean, obviously divinity does have more power than Harada, but because that's what I was also thinking, is Harada just now the entire time in the water in the Indian Ocean? Just, like bubbling there and all the stuff is happening around him? It's like, is he just imagining it? Or is he actually being transported? And that's just an extra part that was just confusion to me. I mean, I understood when Harada was not, or I understood that part where Harada was scanning everyone and could read their minds and whatever.
Yeah, and that's what's smart. That's like, I like it when characters do the smart thing in terms of trying to figure out stuff like this. It's not just like believing when crazy things happen. It's like, it must be true. It's like, wait, okay, they're human, at least to my knowledge of all this.
Right.
But yeah, it's just, and again, I agree. But like I said, for me, it's divinity more than the specific like idea of it all. Because if his powers, again, maybe they were explained in divinity, but
they weren't. We really read
exactly.
Divinity.
That's what I mean. Like I really don't get what it is he does. And there's another thing too, which I feel might undermine like divinity's message to Harada.
What was his message? I don't even know.
It was just about humbleness.
Ugh, really?
That's how I understood it. But anyways, but what I mean is,
bitch, be humble.
No, but like in the beginning of this issue, when he gets to see the future where everything worked out.
Yeah.
Like the cold fusion works and everything's awesome in Somalia. Hey.
Sorry.
So yeah, no, but and again, it's one of those things because it's kind of like that. You remember that the Justice League episode where Superman has that like parasite stuck to him, so he like he's living in this like perfect fantasy world.
Yeah.
it kind of feels like it's that, because even though it's amazing his life there, it's not
What
real.
you give someone who has everything.
Exactly.
I think that episode was called, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's based on an Alan Moore comic.
Yeah.
But that's the thing there, though. The way it's set up there, it's just kind of like unless the thing divinity does is real, like it's actually real, not just a mental, image,
Mm-hmm.
then, Harada's in the wrong. Then Harada's being unreasonable. Like, if this is truly like, see, if you're just humble about things, then, don't do all these bitchy things you do, then, you can have this. But if this is just, a projection, just an illusion, then Harada's correct, because then you can't trust divinity. Then he's just manipulating Harada.
Right.
And again, maybe that's the usual valiant, moral ambiguousness between characters. Divinities might not be. Maybe divinity isn't supposed to be like necessarily correct, but it just doesn't quite.
But he's divine, Humphrey.
But he has human roots.
No, but he's divine. He has gone to another plane of existence.
Yeah, but he's still,
But he even says it. I mean, he does say it. I mean, I don't know how much you can trust him, but he does say, my gifts are authentic.
Yeah, he says that, but even then, it's so weird. Honestly, please, people, anyone listening. No, but honestly, because I think if I can just know, like, the only thing I think that is true with him is the time travel thing, like him traveling in time. Like he did in Divinity, he traveled, to see like his own like memories and stuff. But other than that, it's not clear to me what it is he does besides float.
Okay, so according to the Valiant Wikia,
okay.
When he returned Divinity, he had gained godlike powers, including the ability to manipulate matter and time.
So it is matter. He actually is doing it.
It looks like it, yeah.
All right. But it seems there's some limit to it, I feel. I mean, unless that bubble that Harada breaks through was just to keep him in or something.
I don't know. Here, okay. Powers and abilities. I'm just going to go through it.
Okay.
Chronokinesis. I'm assuming.
Sorry, that's just such a like a fancy way of saying it.
Yeah, so chronokinesis, energy manipulation, forced evolution or devolution, immortality, molecular manipulation, reality warping, self-propelled flight, solar flare/heat vision, superhuman senses, telepathy, and vacuum survival.
That's smart. I like when they point out that.
Yeah. So it looks like he's reality warping as well.
So then what we see is real, so to speak.
Or not, because it's reality warping.
Yeah, but with everything else, with matter and energy manipulation, I mean, that's...
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're the same thing. It could be that they're just two different things he can do. I mean, he could... I mean, that's the question here, because we're asking, is he tricking Harada or not?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Well, it's not the tricking part. It's just more about, which was like the whole crux of his appearance, like his first appearance.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that like, hey, look, he's making people happy. It's more, he's making people happy with an illusion. That's the crux of the problem. It wasn't clear for me whether the things he was doing. I'm guessing the forced evolution was like the bird person as well.
Yeah, right.
So that was, I guess, how he forced him to become what he wanted, February. But, yeah. But I think this whole conversation kind of makes it clear that it is divinity himself that's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much that, he's basically making like sort of like a Ghosts of Christmas Past thing with Harada.
Yeah.
It's more about, so can we trust him? Can we trust him about what he is saying? Or is he just...
Right, exactly.
But yeah, anything else on this issue? Or
no, I can't. I don't know anything about this issue anyway.
So yeah, all right. On to the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Harada seems to... Issue 8. Harada seems to finally get the upper hand on Divinity, but he just swats him away. Kozol manages to escape in a pod, while Harada still repeats events at the will of Divinity. And when Harada finally sees the start of the loop, he breaks it, realizing he can't control Divinity, but he still curses the man for not helping him. Kozol is safe and sound, and Mech Major has saved one of the PRS agents, whom we find out is actually a vine plantling, setting up the next volume's plot. So, yeah. You like this one because it ended?
I like this one because it ended. What a question. I didn't like this one. I mean, it just continued with the whole confusion of where they were. I mean, just kind of pushing back and forth. And it's just like, whatever. I mean, I kind of feel like the fact that he now doesn't want to go after Divinity kind of makes a lot of what happened moot. Because I don't really think that Harada had any change in character from this. You know, like he didn't he's not deciding to become humble now. You know, he's going to stay his douchey self and do whatever he feels like, except for go after Divinity.
Well, it seems like more of a realist approach. Like, after all that happened, he probably just realizes that, like, his energy is better spent elsewhere.
Yeah, but that's the thing. As soon as he has energy to expend against Divinity, he's going to go after him. I mean, I don't... There's no part of me that believes that Harada's now like, oh, I'm going to, keep my hands off Divinity. As soon as he has amassed the power, as soon as he believes that he could beat Divinity, he's going to go after him. So I don't necessarily feel anything has really happened in this volume, except for that they received... This is what I meant at the beginning of this episode. The only thing that they did in this volume was they got that energy source. That's the only thing that happened in here. I mean, it's kind of masquerading as like this psychological evaluation or thing for Harada. Like, we're going to dive deep into Harada's psyche and then kind of try to make him realize that he isn't as perfect as he thinks he is or something like that. But no, it doesn't happen that way. I mean, he meets someone who's so much stronger than him, and all he can think of is, all right, I'm going to beat him next time.
So yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that on page 22, when he's just kind of like speaking to Divinity, so, or at least speaking out to the void of it and to Divinity. Like, it feels like there might have been something before, when he decides to break the loop and all that. But as you said, it's, as he says, so they call me a villain. Fine, then I choose selfless villainy over selfish heroics. So what have you chosen? Nothing at all. It's like you've chosen nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Oh, thought you recognized The Simpsons.
Nope.
Okay, anyways. So yeah, as he says, I'll stop testing your will, Divinity, but I won't stop longing for your help. And if you have no help to give, then you can go. And I'm not sure what he's saying there. Yourself.
Fuck yourself? Go fuck yourself?
Yeah. I'm supposed to be amusing. I was trying to be funny because it's obviously the only thing that could be there.
Yeah, and that's my problem with these kind of things.
Well, think of like a young child who hasn't learned a word yet. He'll still, in a volume with all this blood and killing and awful behavior, at least he won't learn a new word.
Yep.
So but I do agree with that. There wasn't truly a change. Like, there was some, he got to experience some, again, being at a disadvantage, some humbleness from some physical humbleness, I guess you would say. Like, it wasn't because he actually met a better person or anything. It's just, fuck, I can't beat this guy. So, but yeah, no, I don't know. It's, but yeah, this just, concluded his appearance here. And not really much to say here besides, Kosol making it out alive, of course.
Yeah.
So he seems to be working on like Game of Thrones rules. So the worse of a person you are, the longer you survive.
You think?
Nah, I don't know, just my feelings I've had from Game of Thrones. Like the more terrible you are, the longer you last.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen the last 2 seasons, so I can't say.
Oh yeah, there's a big death in the
Yeah, I'm
end
sure,
of last season.
But even so, unless they, I go by episode or like season numbers, how long they last. So if they start off later on and are terrible people and die, that doesn't count for me. Though honestly, not interestingly enough, but it's the last 2 pages that to me are like the most interesting of this issue. Because I like it when they immediately set up the next volume, so to speak. And in this case, I find it, yes, fun because it's like a concept that's kind of been ignored and forgotten for a long time.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing.
Yeah, I totally forgot about this too, the fact that there was actually a thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, thanks to Exo Manowar and all that, as well as the actual Vine planet, being in peace. The whole concept of all these vine plantlings, it's gone. So the idea that they're still around is like, great. This is a great element that's been like a seed that's been left ignored.
Yeah.
And sure, it's a bit of a coincidence, I guess, that Nick Major just happens to save one of them who happens to be one of those.
I think he just wanted to save the hot one. Look, she's like the only woman, right? Or you know what? Maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe all of them were Vine.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe this is just a part of a bigger plan.
So, yeah, who knows? I mean, I can't remember the next volume entirely, but so there's a big explanation, that much I remember.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of cool, like, what's called Mick Major coming in there, or Sunlight on Snow. And, he's been healing her, and again, I just find Mick Major as such an interesting character because of that. Like I was saying last time in the first volume, just this very sort of, again, also, again, not a douchebag, but just has sass. This robot with sass, and he does, like, he follows orders, but he works around them too.
Mm-hmm.
And he does have he obviously has a free will, as he shows here. He was never told at any point to like save anyone.
Right.
So obviously he has free will. It's just being controlled by someone else, which I guess is just like any other human. I mean, we have free will, but others' wills we kind of try to work for other people's wills as well. But yeah, no, it's just really cool. Like, yes, the whole setup there. Like, we had a cool thing happening, and now, oh, cool, something else is gonna happen. And I feel that's how you make like a good self-contained volume, while still making clear that there's more coming.
Yeah, but this is just a typical cliffhanger kind of thing. I mean, this has been done forever. I mean, it's not. I mean, you're kind of talking about like if it's something special, like it's something totally new.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean, you're talking about like, this is mind blowing. They put it in the comic before it. Oh my god! It's like, so what?
And there's a text in the last panel saying that something's gonna happen next time.
Yes, it's just like, I mean, this is basically what all the Marvel movies were doing all the time.
So yeah, I mean,
and we've had this in Valiant here as well. We've had multiple comics where they set up the next thing.
Yeah,
in the end of the volume. I don't know why you're making a big deal out of this.
I think the reason is because it's because it's like a return of an old thing. I think that's like all the stuff I was talking about. That was the cool thing with having these guys like brought up again. Yeah. I think that's the reason. And again, I like it when things mix around like that because these are characters that Matt Kindt hasn't been working with. Mm-hmm. I mean, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Kindt did write the Divinity. Yes, make double sure.
Make double sure?
Yes, double sure. Just not just single sure, but double sure. Oh man, where is it? Okay, I gotta. It's gonna be quicker to search it online. Yes, Matt Kint. So the same writer for. No, wait, no, yeah, no. It's because it's Joshua Dessart. Oh, okay, sorry. Then I have a different point regarding it. I find it very interesting then with Joshua Dessart, the writer for Imperium, as well as, Harbinger before. Putting in then both Divinity, a character he didn't create, and having him, take part in all of it. And then setting up now to have another concept that he didn't create, Divine. So it just further helps make it this, shared universe. And I just like that. Share all the universes. But yeah, in general, as we can hear from our conversation, we're kind of like trying to force discussion.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, it's a very typical comic. There's nothing very special about it.
Yeah, I think we got all our actual, like, truly sort of like, or like our more genuine, impressions of it in the first issue.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed, like the main things and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it's not really much else to bring up about it. But in general, though, I just like it as one volume because like I said, it's like a cool heist thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the Divinity thing, even if it's confusing, I just find it cool. It's just a cool thing having like Harada meet up with Divinity, and
yeah,
it's just cool having Divinity like make appearances like this.
Yeah, just like pop out of nowhere. That is pretty interesting. But again, I'm just worried that it's going to happen more often now, and I just don't like it when he comes in because it just gets confusing.
Well, again, they could try doing it a different way, maybe, or I don't know. It's always tricky with these things. But I don't know. Just like I said, I just like the shared universeness of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's kind of nice too because we do get a bit of a time period here. Or not time period. What would it be? A sense of time and place in terms of where Harada is. Because we know that Divinity took place at the same time as they just got out of the Leviathan. Because as they escape from the Leviathan with their loot, that's when Ingrid mentions, about like, look, they found this, they found this person in Australia. So we know that this is taking place at the same time as Divinity then. And I guess find it kind of interesting because there was no impression of this at all in Divinity, of him meeting Harada.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of helps show the idea of him being this kind of godlike reality warper in terms of being omniscient. So while all the stuff happening on Australia was happening, he was also, fiddling with Harada. Again, I don't know. I really like it. It's very superhero-y, very sci-fi-y. It's very not spectacle fiction. Fish of spectacle. Oh, good lord, myself. Speculative fiction. There we go. Speculative.
Oh, good lord, myself.
That's not what I meant. It's what I said, but it's not what I meant.
Okay, then.
Oh, boy. I think it's clear that we've said all we have to say.
Yeah, you're even making up things. Okay, well, I mean, we don't have much else to say, I guess. Then you can discuss this episode on Reddit, tweet us, or you can follow us on Facebook. All of our episodes are available on our hosting site, Podbean. Links are in the show notes. Catch us next time for
Ninjak Volume 2, The Shadow Wars.